So, in order to get anything done in life, you need to have a big picture and you need to have details. And usually, there's one type of person who's more of the big picture person, and one person who's going to be more of the detail type of person. And you really need to understand how that all works and how they all fit together if you're going to lead people and be a big picture person. Detail people drive me insane because I'm a big picture person and I'm the sort of person who will actually just not worry about the details when I'm doing something and sort of let them just fall to the side and only involve as many details as I need to get the big picture of what I'm trying to do done. Now there's other people who work completely differently, who go from every little detail from the bottom up, and they everything has to be perfect for them and they'll do everything perfectly in their little boxes of little details. The world needs both types of people, and I'm going to discuss what the difference between these two types of people is in this video. So I've always been this type of person. I think it has to do with the way that you're raised by your parents and sort of the feeling that you have about life as a child and what feels safer for you. Is it were you raised in such a way where people took care of stuff for you and you were free to be dreaming in another world, or were you raised in such a way where you had parents who were like insisting that you actually paid attention to specific things and that's how you got love and affection? So I was very much raised with people taking care of me. I think like my grandmothers, for example, took care of me a lot. My mother and my father took care of me, and so I'm essentially a space cadet who is free to dream about different things and free to actually look at the big picture of reality and all that sort of stuff. And it tends to mean that I'm really bad at doing some basic stuff like keeping my apartment clean, keeping boxes and stuff organized. Just basic sort of stuff that's every day, like taken for granted by most of humanity. Like, yeah, just simple organization things. I disregard them because I guess as I was growing up, people just took care of me and loved me so much that they didn't emphasize the need to do those little detail things because, well, I was obviously not inclined towards that, and it was hard to get me to like hurting a cat basically to get me to do those detail types things. And so I'm the big picture person. How does this translate to being an entrepreneur and being an artist? It means that I need other people to help me make my dreams a reality, to help me run my business, to help me make my recordings for my songs and all that sort of stuff because I'm not focused on the little things. I'm focused on the big picture, the vision, the gratification, the emotional satisfaction of making something happen. And I've got those big ideas. And a lot of the detailed people are often distracted from those big ideas. And they end up doing something that's less great because they're focused on little details of something like people who are content creators who focus on the quality of the camera, who focus on the quality of the sound too much, and they want to get that. We need people like that, but at the same time, to be in the shots, to be in the thing, we need the creative people who are going to give this actual pure creative energy. And creative energy is messy. It leaves a mess. It comes out of chaos. It comes out of all these different ideas and all these different things that are constantly streaming through us creative people and our minds, and we are the people who manifest the creative thing into reality. And what do we need after that? We need people to you know focus on the quality of the camera, focus on the quality of this, the quality of that, the way that this is and that is, play the drums on time. For example, a musical analogy is like, I'm a singer songwriter who plays guitar. I'm good at singing, I'm good at songwriting. I'm kind of crappy at playing guitar because my rhythm is pretty crappy, and it doesn't come naturally. I have to practice that to be on time. And so, if I'm going to hire a drummer for my band, I don't want somebody else with that overlapping, who's this creative force, who's able to. No, I want someone who's like 1, 2, 3, 4, with a little bit of groove to, with groove as well. but somebody who can hold down those details of the drums so that I can go off on my odyssey of being a singer and songwriter. And this is often the source of conflict in bands, is these types of role divisions. And I had lots of experiences in this where I was the creative person writing the songs, and then I wanted people to do the details of the instruments so that it fit my big picture. But they are focusing on the details of their instruments from their little picture, their little like perspective on this detail, that detail. And I'm a lot of the time, if they're professional musicians who have been raised to play an instrument on this detail level, what I'm telling them to do actually seems wrong to them, but it fits my creative big picture of how the song should feel and the melodies that I'm hearing in my creative person's head. And so that's really interesting. And it's always a source of friction, but that friction can bring interesting results. In my business, I need people to look at the details of, we're doing outsourced staff. So who's worked when? How do we bill that? What are the details of the billing that need to be on the invoice, all that stuff. So I can look at the big picture of how much money came in and out of the company this month, and how do we grow this business? What are the ideas for marketing and all that sort of stuff? I'm an Aries, and one of the people who has most succeeded in helping me in this business over the last few years is Virgo, and she's able to look at all the different companies we could work with and send them emails in a very methodical way, so that I get sales calls booked for me, and I can just, at the time of these sales calls, I go in, lights, camera, action, few notes on who I'm talking to and why, and I can go and give them my full sort of like creative business person thing and brainstorm their business and add this sort of flair to the conversation that details people usually cannot, because they're thinking backwards. They're not thinking from the feeling into charisma into making meaning. They're thinking from what's the structure of the conversation, what am I going to say next, what am I going to say next. And you can see it on their face when you're with a details person. You start talking on a creative level and start talking on a visionary level in business and stuff like that. They'll usually have this glossed over look on their eyes, and essentially what they want to know is, what do you want me to do? Where can I apply my work? What are the steps that I need to do this? What do I need to learn to know how to do this job, and all that stuff like that? Whereas for us creative visionary people, we can just pick up anything and poke at it and make a result. Whereas these people, the detail people, do not interact in reality in the same way. And so it's just like two different types of people that need to work together. And basically it's very difficult to make them work together harmoniously, um, unless you understand this, that different people behave in different ways. And one mistake that I see in business is a lot is people don't understand that not everybody thinks like them. A business owner doesn't understand that not everything to run the business is common sense to the people that they hire, and therefore the results are bad. Now, I mean, it's like, yeah, I would say that the detail-oriented, sort of meticulous way of doing things is something that's associated with the middle class, and anything that's upper middle class and above. Those people are big picture people a lot of the time. Although upper middle class people, a lot of them who are lawyers and doctors and surgeons and whatever, engineers and stuff like that, would be detail people. It's not really tied to social class, but that sort of neurotic focusing on details is tends to be what makes the middle class, whereas the working class and the upper classes tend to be more focused on the big picture of life and their own enjoyment and stuff like that, and the experience of life. So what you need to do in your life if you want to be successful is also, if you're a dreamer, disorganized person, you need to also be able to focus on details to the extent that if you're leading an organization with detail-oriented people, you can define the details that they need to focus on to fit your grand scheme of things, your big picture. And if you can do that, it's really amazing what kind of results you can get from people and what sort of team you can build, getting detail-oriented people to buy your big picture detail um, their part in the big picture. That's what a leader does. The problem with creative people and big picture types of people, they do get good at doing details, but they lose trust in other people to do work. And so you have this lone wolf mentality. When you have a true genius, they can do any detail. They can focus narrowly on this sort of detail, but that's not where they want to live. So a lone wolf will get really good at a job and all the details associated with it because they force themselves to be that creative genius who also works the details. But it's chaos because they're two different things, like blind spots. Basically, there's a blind spot, for example, with me when I'm trying to be a musician, creative, all that stuff. I don't like troubleshooting sound, audio gear, and stuff like that. Even though I'm very good at both of them, and they're both, it's something is mismatched in that. And you have to realize, as a person trying to make your way in life, what is my blind spot for detail? Is my spot for detail and organization and consistency, or is my blind spot for seeing the big picture and making it happen? And if you realize that and you fill your life with people who do not have overlapping weaknesses there, overlapping blind spots, you can do really well and build an organization. And so there's all different types of people in this world. And to work effectively with them, you need to understand that not everybody is like you. And the gift that you have to offer the world is unique and different than the gift that someone else has to offer. And there's different people in this world who can have different varying rates of success based on applying their detail oriented or the big picture stuff. And lots of depression, I think, comes from when people are not in their element, when people are put into a situation where they're going against their innate nature. Now, some people might have innate natures that come from I don't know where, but childhood is one that I mentioned, but actually also, you know, perhaps you're born with it and you're born with a certain way of doing things. And so, when I'm learning languages, I focus on the feeling of the language, the tonality of the language, and the words and how they're coming out of my mouth. And other people focus on grammar when they're learning languages. Those are detail people. And there's a tendency in this world to teach things on a detail level in school, in a lot of jobs and stuff like that, because that's easier to package and sell. Details, do this, follow instructions, do this, do that, which is almost like, this is why a lot of people like me who have this intuitive sort of approach to life and this big picture thing, we hated school because it was a bunch of fucking nonsense to us. Whereas other people could do really well learning these details, learning these instructions step by step, different ideological and description of things that they can latch onto, and it means something from the bottom up. Whereas I was always interested in, how does the whole fucking meaning of life work? How does life itself function in terms of systems? And that's what we call systems thinking at the same time. And yeah, there's lots of room. And if you are a person who feels like the system is not for them, like the school system, jobs that you can get, and being just like somebody who follows instruction, if that's not for them, then you have the gift probably of someone who can build their own systems like I do, write their own songs, build their own thing. Because, yeah, you can do that, and you need to start doing that, because you can be like in my industry, the IT support industry, it's dominated by people who have this sort of ability to figure out systems, build them, and code and fix things and understand things intuitively, and have visionary stuff, visionary ways of applying their knowledge. And the tech is dominated. So you need to go into the right part of tech. Don't go to school for computer science. That's nonsense. You're going to be writing freaking PHP on paper, is one example. No, you need to be in an industry where you can get your hands dirty with stuff and make it work or not work, and do lots of experiments with life, not just like receive instructions and write notes. No. But never look down upon people who are providing a good job in following details. You need to work with these people. You need to have them a part of the team, because they have skills that you don't. And don't you forget that. And basically, the most important thing is if you're building a business, you understand where your weaknesses are and how other people can help you fix that. You might be good at everything, or so you think, but you need people to do stuff that you don't like doing consistently, more consistently than you ever will. So thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys later. Subscribe to my channel if you like it, and enjoy.